Hello again, and it's time for another project. Today we're going to do some router work on this Joker image. It's a nice size at 12.5 inches by 17 inches on 3/4 inch recycled pine. This was actually part of a wardrobe, I believe, the base of a wardrobe. Once you've sanded it down and sorted it out, it makes a nice good solid chunk of wood. As always for me, we've printed off our template, got the sizes we need, stuck it down with our painter's tape, and the way I do it is to simply put carbon paper, graphite paper underneath like so, and trace round it all. It might seem a drawn out affair at the time, but it takes literally 5-6 minutes to do this. And I've noticed also, as you go around, you get to see maybe little details that you probably wouldn't see if you're just sticking this paper straight to the wood, which some people can. I've tried it once, never again will I do that. Okay, so we've stuck that down. Just take your time and look at your wood, see where you're sticking it down. I'll show you in a minute. Obviously I've drawn around this. Now we can remove this, and I might use that as a later date on a scroll saw project. Remove the carbon paper. Not this stuff, this is years old now, but I just put it on for the video. And there's our little image, all good to go. We've shaded in the areas that you're going to remove. You must do that, well I definitely must, because you'll go away, come back and start routing out a section here or a section here, and you've done it totally wrong. So take your time to shade in the areas you want to remove. Now, as I was saying before, as regards to wood, I did have two nasty knots on this one. There's one there and one up there. I don't know if you can just about see those. So turn, twist and work out where your template's going, because we've lost that one nicely in there. That's going to all be routed out, so that's disappear. And that one goes into the airline area, so that will disappear as well. So basically, you're not going to ever end up with a face and he's got some random mole or wart or something growing out the side of his face that shouldn't be there. So I got lucky on this one, because both of those two have disappeared. Right, the idea for this one is to route out, like I say, all the shaded area. We'll go around all the lines with our little CNC bits. These come in different degrees. I'm actually going to use a 15 today, which is quite pointed, only because it will be filled up with resin. We're going to fill this with resin completely to the top, sand it down, and then put clear resin over the top. So we don't need any degrees or any fancy handles. If you can see literally this one, it might just be a little bit too small for you. That's a 30 on the end. It's got a little short, little stumpy carving area. And that's a 15. That's quite long and stretchy is the word I'm going to use. So if you're just putting paint in that and you want to see a bit of the side walls, you might try a 30-degree bit just to give you a bit more of an angle. But as it doesn't matter. So 15's today for us. And we'll simply just pop that into a router via our adapter collet, a 6.35mm. That's a 3.175mm. That will fit straight into a Dremel if you only have a Dremel with a Dremel attachment. But for us, for a 1/4 inch router, that literally just slots in there. That now goes straight into your router. We'll set it to a depth that we want. What we're happy with, there's a couple of ways about it. I made this little depth charge, as I call it, a step gauge. And you can look at the front of that and think, is that deep enough? Maybe we should go to number 2. Maybe number 3 is far too deep. We don't want to go deep as that. We're filling resin in, you're basically just wasting resin. So number 1 there, which is literally, if I can just get a Dremel piece, it's just slightly under 3mm, if not 3mm. So that's going to be plenty deep enough for our little project today, with it being filled up with resin. Once we've gone around all that with these CNC bits, as always for me, we'll pop on one of these end milling bits. They fit the same adapter, so you just remove that, pop that in, set it to the same depth on our little gauge, or the other option I use is a piece of wood. You can see from this all the different settings, and just go along and find one that suits you, mark it off with a pencil around here, set it to that gauge, set that one to the same. You're not going to go far wrong. Okay, I think that's about it. Once it's all cleared out, and we've cleared it all out with our end miller bits, we shall then go onto the resin side, and we're literally going to fill it all in this time. Normally I would put the resin in and just let it set. I want to basically overflow with the resin, and then we'll sand it flush with the wood, which will dull the resin unfortunately, but hopefully when we put the clear on, It should get the shine back. Okay, I've been told that I talk too much, so that's it for now. Let's start routing out. Right, you can see from that we've gone all the way around all our lines. I'll just show you there. Now this wood's quite powdery, it's just a recycled pine, remember, but most of this you could take out just with the CNC bit. All these tighter areas there I've just removed with the CNC bit, as you can see from that. So now it's just a case of replacing that. So we can just remove that out and pop in one of our end milling bits. These are just fantastic for clearing out with, because they have the side walls of the cutout that will cut, and also the bottom section. So it will route out the side areas as well as tidy up the bottom of the bit that you're removing, if that makes sense. It's just a simple case of popping it into the same adapter, push it up to that stopper marker. We'll pop that in the router and set it to any one of these markers that we've done. Or remember, you could use your piece of scrap wood from previously and use that. So we'll set it to the same depth as this. And literally start removing out all these shaded areas. And I've gone over these again with a pencil just to make sure. The last thing we want to do is to come in and start removing that section. That's got to stay. So let's pop this in and start removing out the rest of it. Right, we've made it round in one piece with our end milling bits. They work really good for clearing out the section you want removing, obviously. So far so good. You can just about see from that. So what I want to do now is just go around and general tidy up, just little bits. We don't need to concentrate too much on the base. Remember, we're going to fill this all in with resin. So don't spend hours sanding all that down, because the black resin will cover that up, no problem. Just general little bits in there. It's quite powdery. You can tell that there's two different woods, two different pines glued together, because one side of it routed out fairly easy and the other side was quite dusty. But that is just the two woods. It's no problem whatsoever, work around it. I like to use these cheap eBay specials, engraving bits. They're for glass and stuff, but they work fine on wood. And I literally just attach it to a cheap flexi shaft, and I literally just go around, tidy it up, get all these little bits out, general sanding down, and then we'll go on to the resin side. Right, that's it. That's as far as I'm prepared to go as regards to sanding down and cleaning up with our Dremel bit. That's near enough for what we need. The main things to look out is the straightness of the edges here. Because remember, we're going to put resin into this, overfill it, and then sand it down. So that resin will be black and then flush with all the wood. That way you won't feel any of the routed out areas. Not something I like, but it's nice to turn things around and try different options just to see how you like it. Notice there with regards to those two knots I mentioned, that one's inside that routed out area, so that will be covered completely with black resin, and the same as that big one up there. So just have a check of your wood before you start planning out where you're going to put your template. What we don't want was a great big mole at the side of his nose here, as I've said previously. Now it is pine wood, it's very powdery. And to play safe, I'm just going to spray this with some kind of sealant. There is wood sealants out there that you can purchase. I've personally never used them before. I'll just spray some of this on. Crystal clear. It says it seals, and that's near enough for me. So 2 or 3 sprays of this. Just give it that little sealant, just to stop the resin. Should it? It might not do it, but do we want to take that chance? Just stop the resin bleeding into the side walls of the routed out area. And obviously, you won't get the crispy lines that you're after. So we'll coat it first. Normally I would have boiled linseed on this. I'll put that on all my projects, but as we're going to sand it all down afterwards, just seems a bit pointless putting the oil on if we're going to skim over the top again. We can always pop the oil on afterwards if we're not too happy with just bare wood, as we're going to coat it all with clear resin. Okay, let's spray this down and then we'll go inside and start putting the resin in. Okay, that's all nicely dry now. You can see from that there's a little bit of a shine on it. Now hopefully that's going to be enough to seal this wood around the sides of the routed out area. We only have one way to find out, and that's to start filling it in. As always for me, the resin I like to use is Amazing Clear Cast. It comes in 2 parts, literally A, the resin, B, the hardener. And you basically just mix the two together by volume. So that's so much of A and so much of B. I like to use these little party cups. They have nice little marks on the side. And you just count to 5 on there, let's say. 5 on that one. Resin, hardener. Then I'll pop the B into the A because that flows better. They do say try 3rd cup on the instructions. That's something I've never bothered with. So we'll mix our 2 little resins up there like so. And then we'll drop a colour in. The colours I'm going to use is just black. I use dyes on mine. You can get powders, inks, even acrylic paint I believe. It's something I've never tried. And they're just cheap eBay specials. So black's red. So we'll literally just mix up our resin, drop a couple of drops of black in. A little bit of colour goes a long way. So like I just said, we'll do a set amount of A and we'll see how far we get. Don't panic if you're unsure, you can mix some more up, you've got plenty of time. The good thing about Amazing Clear Cast, you can mix small amounts. Okay, I'll get the resin mixed up off camera and then come back when it's time to pop the colour in and fill this little project up. Right, we've mixed our resin up nicely. I don't think there'll be enough here personally, but don't panic. You have plenty of time, good half an hour, to mix up another batch. and finish off what you need. I prefer to mix smaller amounts than mixing a full plastic cup full and wasting most of it. Okay, these are our colours: black. We'll start on this one, and if we run out, we'll dab a bit of that on. Now a little bit goes a long way. We've got quite a bit in there. If we can just a good inch and a half of resin and maybe 3 or 4 drops of the black. So drop them in, 1, 2, 3, 4. If it doesn't look dark enough, you can always add some more. You see straight away that lovely black coming through. Like so. I'm going to go a little bit more darker on this one because I want it to really stand out next to the wood. So we'll drop, I'll go same again. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's it. 8 little drops in there. That's more than enough to mix up this resin. And that's it. That's all it. We're ready to pour it now. Now my previous projects, I would normally pour this so it's just slightly below the routed out area. But like I said previously, we're going to overfill this. If you're a bit concerned about it running away, you can maybe make yourself a little barrier around there with some kind of tape or whatever. But it's not going to flow away on us, I guarantee you that. And then once it's nicely set, we'll go over it all with a sander, sand it all flush. We will lose our shine, unfortunately, but hopefully when we put clear resin on top, it should bring all that shine back again. Okay, we've more mixed in. We can basically really pour this in here now. We've got nothing to be panicking as regards to spillage and stuff. So we're going to start at the bottom. Similar to that. Most of the time it will find its own level, but I like to get a little cocktail stick and just help it into those areas there, like where the teeth are and stuff. Like so. Okay, we'll carry on filling this in. See, we're not overly concerned about spillage and stuff. The good thing with these plastic knife and fork spoons, it also gives you a little lip on the end, so we can go around and fill in these areas here that we know that we need. Same over there. Okay, we'll get the general idea. I'll fill all this in and come back when it's finished and ready for sanding. Okay, just a quick one. This was all meant to be black. Now I've got a little bit confused with the colours. If I can just show you quickly, that's a black and that other one is a purple. To me they were 2 blacks. Now I'm very limited for the amount of resin I've got left. I've literally just had enough to finish this project off. There's about ½ an inch left in there. So I mixed it and I just couldn't afford to throw it away. So we start off with black. And we're going to end up going towards purple towards the top. And it might be a cool effect. So we'll see how we end up. Right, I'll just let you go around and fill this in. Once you've done that, like so, a little bit more in there maybe. Okay, once you've got it all in like that, it looks messy at this moment, don't be concerned about it. Then all we need to do is get a lighter, because it'll be full of air bubbles at the moment. And we just want to skim over it, and you'll actually see those bubbles disappearing with the heat from the lighter. Like so. And that's more or less it, to be honest. We've got it all covered the best we can. I might just pop a little bit more in here. So we'll let it go and set, and we'll come back tomorrow, 24 hours later, and then we're going to sand over it all, and then we'll see what we've got. Right, it's 48 hours later, the longer you can leave your resin, the better, just to make sure it's nice and solid. We can see from that we've got a lovely shine on there. Now, if you didn't want to do any sanding down and you wanted a nice shine like that, you could just fill it to the max. But when resin sets or cures, it will have a slight concave effect on it. So if you want it really flush, you're better off just overfilling it like so and sanding it down. Unfortunately, sanding it down, you will lose all this lovely shine. But hopefully, when we put our clear resin back on top, it will bring that shine back. I've only done one of these before on a slightly smaller project with little leaves and stuff. So anyways, here goes. We'll start off with a little mouse sander, 120 grit on there, and see how we get on. If it's a slow process, I'll just skim over with a belt sander. If you have a belt planer, there's no reason why you can't pop it through there. Okay, let's go for it. Okay, that's it. Now that took some doing. Back breaking stuff. I started off with that one. A slow process. Then I went on to that one. Certainly coming off a lot easier that. But what happens, the resin just clogs up your sandpapers like that. So be prepared to put plenty of papers on. And then finally, we finished up with that one. Same again, you can see the state of the papers. That's just the only thing, that's your resin all stuck in there and stuff. So it's an hard process. But with them three, we got there in the end. Okay, that's it. This little project has been sanded down. It's nice and flush. You can see from that. Nice and smooth. Don't worry about these little things. The little scratches, should I say. If that really bothers you, get an higher grit, up to the 250s, 600,000s even. But personally, we're going to coat this with clear resin, and all that will disappear, and hopefully this should be nice and black. Okay, let's go back inside and mix up our clear resin. Right, we're back indoors. We brought a piece of scrap boarding, just so we can carry this away once it's done. I'm actually doing this in the kitchen now, so we don't want it lying around too much. I like to rest it on 4 little milk bottle caps. That's just enough. Bit of kitchen roll down, or a bit of plastic bin bag or anything like that. So we're literally going to sit this on here, and the reason why we do that is once we put our resin on the top, we want it to flow over the edges and basically drip down onto the kitchen roll or tissue that we've put underneath. Okay, as what before with the resin, simply a case of A and B mixed together. So you've seen that already. I have no idea if this is going to be enough, but we can start pouring it out and see how far we get. You still have plenty of time to mix a bit more, remember. Okay, so we'll get us a good mix, follow the instructions, always have your gloves on. And it's just a case of pouring it on, and we'll see what we've got. Just going to pour it on like that, no messing about. Empty that out nicely, like so. Now you can use a paintbrush if you want to spread this about a bit. I'm literally going to use this plastic party spoon that I've got in my hand now. Okay, that's all that done. Now simple case, just spreading it about like so. You see that lovely black underneath coming through straight away, so that's a good sign. This is one of the first projects where I haven't put boiled linseed oil on first. I'm actually hoping that the resin will darken that wood down like it is doing now. So no need to put any boiled linseed on or anything. What you don't want to do is be a little bit tight with this. You rather have a little bit extra when it comes to the top coat and allow it to go down the sides like so. You can see that lovely black, come purple. Remember, this bit's got a little purple tinge to the top bit and it gets darker as we go down. Right, I won't bore you with the rest of this. I'll continue. We'll get this totally filled, let it go down the side, and then we'll come back when we're ready to put our lighter over the top. Right, that's it. That's totally covered with resin now. We've gone down the side as well. Can't really show you. It's quite a big piece of this one, but you can just see a nice shine there. So that's all we can do for now, really. We'll go over it again with our lighter, just to burn off any air bubbles that may be lying around, hopefully. Ideally, you should be able to cover this with something just to stop any dust falling on it, bits, stuff like that. So I'll put this to one side now, and then we'll come back tomorrow, and hopefully this little project should be finished. Right, that's it. This little project is finished. So it's 24 hours later. That resin's nicely set. We got the nice black that we was after. Get some reflection on there just to show you how shiny it is. Like so. That's come out really well. You can just about see that tinge of purple up there if you get it in the right light. Apart from that, no problem. The front's gone really nice. The sides have soaked in a little bit if I have to be picky. So when I did the black, we should have probably just sealed that with some clear resin just to give it a little bit of chance. But you can go over it again if you wanted to. I'm not overly bothered. I shall just show you the back. I'll just route a slit in there to hang it up with. It's 3/4 inch thick. And you can see how the resin's gone round the corners there, look. So that's dripped down the sides and gone under. That way, you know you've had plenty on. And you can sand that off no problem whatsoever, should you want to. So that's him done, our Joker. Just see that purple in there if you look sharp, and if I'm struggling to get it up to the camera. Okay, there you have it. So one routed out Joker. It's 13 inches by 17 inches on recycled pine, inlaid with resin. Thank you very much for watching.